The sirens hit first sharp echoing off the lake like a warning shot. I froze mid-dig, one hand still gripping my shovel. 2 police cruisers rolled down the gravel road lights flashing red and blue over the calm water. Behind them came Karen Reynolds, our HOA president, storming out of her porch in her bright blue suit and that ridiculous wide sun hat pointing straight at me like I'd just robbed a bank. "There! That's the man, he's destroying community property," she shouted. And I swear in that moment I almost laughed. If only she knew what I was really doing out here, maybe she'd have thought twice before calling the cops. But Karen never thinks twice, she just acts, then finds someone else to blame when it blows up in her face. A few hours earlier, the world was quiet. I'd been digging near the edge of the lake, trying to install part of the new city water line, a project the mayor himself had asked me to oversee. My name's Daniel Davis. 58, retired from Brookhaven Public Works after 25 years in water and sewer infrastructure. I moved out here to Lakewood Estates thinking I'd finally found some peace. A little cabin by the lake, a Labrador named Bruno, and mornings that smelled like pine and wet soil. That was the dream. But dreams and HOAs don't mix, especially not with someone like Karen Reynolds running the show. Karen's the kind of woman who was born to hold a clipboard. Early 50s, platinum hair so stiff it could cut glass, and always in pastel suits that scream control freak. She drives around in her golf cart at dawn like a general inspecting her troops, measuring mailbox heights, taking photos of flower beds, and handing out violation notices like candy. My first week here, she fined me for having the wrong style mailbox. The next week, it was my flower bed not compliant with community aesthetics. I remember her smug smile when she said, "Order keeps us beautiful, Mr. David." So when she saw me digging near the shoreline, I knew she'd snap. She pulled up in her cart brakes, squealing clipboard already out. "You can't dig here without HOA approval," she barked. I looked up, wiped the sweat from my brow. "Morning to you too, Karen. This area is community property," she pressed on, stepping closer. "You can't just tear up the landscape." "Actually," I said, keeping my voice calm, "this dig's for the community. City water extension. Mayor signed off last week." She squinted at me like I'd told her aliens gave me permission. "You think you're funny?" "No, ma'am," I said, jamming the shovel back into the dirt. "Just doing my job." Her lips tightened. "You'll regret this, Mr. Davis." Turns out I did regret it, at least for a few minutes. When those sirens arrived, I felt my stomach drop. The officers stepped out, hands resting on their belts. One of them, Daniels, recognized me. "Mr. Davis." "What's going on here?" Before I could answer, Karen jumped in. "He's trespassing, destroying HOA property, and digging without authorization. Look at this mess." I sighed, reached into my vest, pulled out the folded letter with the city seal. But before I could hand it over, Karen snatched it. "This looks fake," she said, waving it at the cops. "Ma'am," Officer Daniels said clearly, "tired already. Please give that back." "No, he's lying. You can't just dig near a lake, it could contaminate the water." And then, like perfect timing, the radio on the officer's shoulder crackled. "Dispatch to all units, confirm Brookhaven. Water Project Supervisor Daniel Davis is on site at Lakewood." The silence that followed was almost beautiful. Karen's mouth hung open as the realization hit. The other officer chuckled softly. Then the rumble of diesel engines rolled in as 3 city trucks pulled up, bright yellow Brookhaven Water Division stamped on the sides. The crew waved at me like it was any other Tuesday. Karen's face went redder than a stop sign. "What is this?" she demanded. Officer Daniels smirked. "Looks like your suspect was telling the truth." Hank, the crew chief, gave me a nod. "You already started the trench." "Yep," I said. "Just waiting on valve connections." Karen tried to recover, smoothing her suit jacket. "Well, I was only doing my civic duty." "Sure," I said. "Sometimes you have to dig before you find the good stuff underneath." She didn't appreciate the jab, but she backed off for now. For the rest of the day, the work went smoothly. The sun hung low, the machines hummed, and I thought maybe, just maybe, the madness had passed. But peace never lasts long around here. Later that evening, I noticed ripples across the lake. No wind, no fish. just one perfect circle expanding outward. Bruno growled low, ears perked. I aimed my flashlight at the water and something metallic glinted beneath the surface. For a second, I thought it was just my imagination. Then I heard footsteps behind me. "Evenin', Mr. Davis." I jumped, almost dropped the light. "Jesus, Hank, you scared me." He laughed. "Forgot some fittings in the truck. What's got you spooked?" I pointed to the lake. "You see that?" He squinted. "Probably junk. Old dock parts or something." "Yeah," I muttered. "Probably." But deep down, I wasn't convinced. Next morning, the crew arrived early. The air felt heavy, like before a storm. Karen showed up again this time in garden boots and no makeup, which was somehow even stranger. Her eyes were shadowed. "You saw it too, didn't you?" she asked quietly. "Saw what?" "The shimmer last night," she said. "Something under the water." I tried to shrug it off, but the way she said it made my skin crawl. "Probably debris," I told her. She didn't look convinced. A few hours later, everything went to hell. The pressure gauge spiked a hiss, cut through the air, and before we could react, part of the trench collapsed. Mud and water rushed in, revealing a huge rusted surface below round metallic sealed with bolts the size of my hand. We cleared the sludge just enough to see faint letters etched on the side Hydro Core Unit. "What in the world?" Hank whispered. Karen stepped closer, eyes wide. "That's what I saw." Her hands trembled. "My husband used to talk about something buried under this lake," she said. "He worked for the city council. He said they covered up an old project here." I frowned. "What kind of project?" She swallowed hard. "Something they called hydroline. He said it wasn't safe. The rest of the crew wanted to leave it to the city inspector. By noon, the area was fenced off and we packed up for the day. Karen stayed behind, staring at the pit like it was staring back. When I asked if she was okay, she said quietly, "He told me the lake keeps secrets the town doesn't want told." That night, the storm hit. Rain hammered the roof, thunder shook the windows. Around 9, the power flickered, then died. I grabbed my flashlight and looked out toward the lake. Through the sheets of rain, I saw a faint blue glow under the water, and someone standing by the trench. "Hey!" I yelled, stepping outside with Bruno barking at my heels. The figure turned light, catching a pale face. It was Karen. "Mr. Davis, don't come closer!" she shouted. Before I could ask why, the ground gave way. The trench collapsed again, swallowing her leg. She screamed, slipped and fell in. I dropped the light and lunged forward, grabbing her arm just in time. "Hold still!" I yelled, pulling with everything I had. She gasped, eyes wide. It's moving." "What is the tank?" "It's opening." And she wasn't wrong. The metal below groaned, splitting slightly. A burst of air hissed out, followed by a flicker of blue light inside the crack. I hauled her out, both of us collapsing in the mud. The tank's surface shifted once more, then went still. When the city arrived the next morning, they acted calm, too calm. The inspector, a short man named Reed, asked a few questions, took photos, then said, "Nothing to worry about. Just an old containment unit." When I pressed him, he smiled that politician's smile and said, "This lake's natural, Mr. Davis. Always has been. Natural my ass." By afternoon, black SUVs rolled in, no logos, no plates. Men in suits, not city workers, not utility. They set up barricades, told us the area was under federal control. Karen confronted one of them. "You can't do this. This is private property." The man didn't even blink. "Not anymore." "Ma'am." That night, the blue light came back. Stronger. It pulsed from beneath the lake like a heartbeat. Bruno barked nonstop. Karen came running to my porch, pale and shaking. "It's waking up," she whispered. Whatever they buried." The water erupted minutes later, blue beam shooting straight into the sky. Every bird, every light in the neighborhood went silent. The ground trembled. Then just as suddenly it stopped. The next day, soldiers arrived. Real ones in unmarked uniforms. They planted rods around the lake machines that hummed with electricity. I asked what was happening. One of them muttered containment stabilization. Another shouted Hydrocore online. Hydrocore. That word stuck in my head like a curse. I tried to walk away, but curiosity, or maybe duty, kept me there. I'd spent half my life dealing with water systems, underground networks, old blueprints. Whatever was under that lake wasn't just a tank. It was a reactor. That night, the hum returned louder, steadier. Karen and I watched from my porch as blue veins of light crawled through the ground, spreading toward the houses like roots. It's feeding on the grid, I realized. Karen looked terrified. Then we cut it off. We grabbed her late husband's old binder schematics notes, diagrams labeled fail-safe coil. There was one place we could shut it down, Ridgeview Substation. 10 minutes north if the roads held. The town was chaos by the time we reached the truck. The lake was glowing like molten glass soldiers yelling, neighbors running. As we sped off, the power poles beside the road sparked blue humming in rhythm with that monstrous heartbeat behind us. At Ridgeview, the substation was already alive with energy transformers, glowing cables crackling. Karen flipped through the binder, her hands shaking. Pull the rods manually, cut the main relay. I climbed to the fence, rain pouring down, electricity burning the air. I found the first rod, ripped it loose. Sparks exploded, pain shot through my arm. "Keep going," Karen shouted. I yanked the second, then the third, each pull shaking the ground harder. The speakers above crackled. A voice, metallic and cold, boomed. Interference detected. "Identify." "Not today," I growled, grabbing the master lever. It was rusted stiff, but I pulled with everything I had. Karen joined me. Together, we forced it down. The world went white, a blinding flash, then silence. When the light faded, the lake was dark again. The hum was gone. The air smelled like rain and burnt ozone. Karen looked at me, mud streaked across her face. "It's over," she whispered. I wanted to believe her, but as I stood there I felt it, a faint tremor beneath my boots. A single, slow thump deep underground. The earth was still breathing. Sometimes the things we bury don't stay buried.